Hello, good morning everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. For those who do not know me, I am Dilip Oak, founder of Dilip Oak's Academy, India's largest training institute for higher education in America. Since last month, we have started conducting webinars on various topics related to American education, and we are inviting guest speakers from American universities. Now, as you all know, the results of US presidential elections are out, and there is a lot of apprehension among students about how it will affect higher education in America and also jobs in American corporate sectors, and what will be the probable immigration policy of the new president. So, to give you a better idea about all this, we have with us our guest speakers from California State University, Chico, Dr. Tyson Henry. He is the chair of Computer Science Department at California State University, Chico. He has been an educator for more than 20 years. Prior to coming to Chico State, Dr. Henry worked for the Department of Energy Sandia National Laboratory and taught computer science at the University of New Mexico. He received his Bachelor's of Arts in Physics from a very famous college, that is Vassar College in New York, and PhD in Computer Science from University of Arizona. Dr. Henry has taught a wide range of systems and programming classes. Our next speaker is Dr. Seema Sehrawat. She is an Associate Dean for the College of Engineering, Computer Science and Construction Management at California State University, Chico. She has been an educator for more than 12 years and believes in building and nurturing collaborations. She received her PhD in social work from University of Missouri, Columbia in 2009. Dr. Sehrawat has a strong record of research, publications, and presentations and has secured over $2 million in grants. Our third speaker, Dr. Blake Waynes, who was Dean of College of Engineering and Computer Science, unfortunately cannot come for the webinar today since he has some other urgent engagements. So without further delay, I invite our guest to take over from here.
Thank you, Mr. Oak. Thank you for this opportunity for us to come and speak to everyone here today. We are really excited to see over 250 students wanting to talk to us and engage with us here. And I'm so glad Dr. Tyson Henry is here with me because as the poll results are showing, a lot of the students are interested in joining a computer science program in the United States. So he'll be able to even speak more directly towards that and give them more information. We just want to take a few minutes and talk about the current climate in the United States. I know you guys have been hearing a lot of stories. You're watching news, you're watching media, really saying different things. So there was a recent article that came out in Wall Street Journal here in the United States, and Times of India then published it in their newspaper, and that was one of the true numbers where it talked about there is the 43% decline in international student enrollment in US universities. And really there are two major reasons. You all know this really well too. One is COVID. The pandemic has really hit us all really hard. And US universities are mostly online or very limited hybrid. So it's really close to the outside world right now. And it's not really conducive for international students to be here this fall semester and be studying or starting their education in an online format. The other is our wonderful president. When I say, wonderful, it's I think I'm trying to be sarcastic there. He has really issued a lot of directives and executive orders around immigration and has said things. He's an actor. He's an amazing actor, and he likes to put on a show. And right now also he's putting on a show of not wanting to leave White House. So I think because of his, a lot of his directives, there has been a decline in international student motivation to come to United States too. So yes, there have been those issues that have happened. He has tried to tighten H-1B policies and said, maybe even talked about reducing the number of years for an OPT and all that. But you need to know these are just very, most of the time are just talks that happen, not a lot that goes on in a law. It takes a lot for a law to be formed. And before I go further, I really want to show a very interesting video about role of media, because what you hear a lot sitting in India are these news, and sometimes those news are not correct. They are really amplified in different directions to really, disengage you in taking the right steps. So let me just play that for you. I'm going to unshare my screen and share it back. Zoom makes it interesting for us to do this. Oops. Just bear with me.
Washington. He is really down on the press. If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
What do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it, sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS. With that analyzed, Joe Concha, media reporter for The Hill.
Sorry. I'm doing this from my laptop. Makes it interesting not being in our offices right now. So I don't know what you got out of that, but whenever I see that video, it really helps me put things in perspective, and it helps me talk to students about role of media. Things get really amplified by media, and they are presented to us as if they are true, but they are not really true. So whenever you are looking at whatever Trump is saying and other news that are coming out, I really want you to dig down to the bottom of the truth and really see what's law. Go on the Homeland Security website and really see what has really become the law that may or may not impact you. So in India, when I was in India several years ago, when I used to live there, we will have all these ads, Lux and Nirma, and I don't know how many different products of those ads will be posted on the media. And I don't know if that makes you go buy that. If that ad is not motivating you to go buy it and believe in it 100%, then why, when a newspaper is printing something, why do you think it's truth? So really, I want you to question yourself whenever you're reading something in a newspaper. It's not, newspapers should be telling the truth, but many times they really twist the truth in the way they are presenting it. And as an international student, I think it's your job to really understand the current climate and different opportunities that you may have in front of you. You need to know that US has the largest number of international students that are here. We have over 1 million students that are studying in the United States. Universities here value global international perspective that students bring to us. We want our classroom to be diverse. We value that diversity. So all those are really important factors. Yes, there have been some delays in visa processing, and there have been a lot of USCIS workers that have been fired, or they have been really impacted, and that has caused some backlogs. But there have not been really a lot of changes in the OPT. The H-1B visa regulations were Trump did release an EO, and then he released another thing which kind of relaxed some of those policies. So you need to look at both of them. You know, he says something, then he follows up and try to, because he really cannot do it.
So let me step in for a minute here. To make a law in the United States, a federal law, it takes not just the president, it takes the Senate and the House of Representatives. Now, the House of Representatives have been run by Democrats for several years now, and the Senate is run by Republicans, and Donald Trump is a Republican. But without the House, he can't make laws. So he hasn't made any laws. What he's done is use this bizarre mechanism called an executive order. And in his executive orders, he can do things like his Muslim ban, like changing the number of visas that are offered. But executive orders can be completely and instantly undone by the next administration. Clearly, Joe Biden won the election. There's no doubt that come January 20th, Joe Biden is going to be the new president. He was the vice president with Obama for 8 years, and many people believe that his policies are going to be very similar to Obama's. And Obama's policies were pro-international student. They were pro H1B visas. So I think we're going to return quite quickly to how things were before Donald Trump. All his craziness has been through executive order, and that can all be undone instantly. I think it will happen in a matter of days after Biden takes office. So I think politically things will drastically change in just 60 some days when Donald Trump is dragged from the White House, if that's what it takes, and Joe Biden takes over as the new president. It'll definitely change the way our country has been running.
Thanks,
Seema?
Tyson. That's really helpful. So, you know, you guys really need to understand it takes a lot for a law to be formed in the United States. When we were thinking of this presentation, we were thinking, what shall we tell you? And one of the thoughts that came to us was, you need to know what will work for you. You are not here in the United States right now. You're planning on coming to United States to study probably in fall 2021. So by that time, you know, the speculation, our hopes are really that colleges will be open and you will be able to have that real in-person classroom experience that you want to come to a US university and have. There have no significant changes that have happened to the OPT system. Right now, still the STEM OPTs are 3 years. Talks don't matter. H1B regulations, they are pro students who are coming the right way, the right way of immigration and have advanced degrees and wanting to study and have legitimate jobs. Even if the merit-based immigration policy, let's say for some bizarre reason, is instituted in United States, it's going to really help you because you are, again, coming here not based on family immigration, that your relative is here and you just want to become a citizen here. You are coming through the proper channels of education. You want to study, you want to advance your degree, and then you want to legitimately contribute to the workforce. So all those factors are really going to help you. We also know now how to live with COVID-19, right? We are all getting really good at it. We have been working from home for over 8 months now. We all go to grocery stores. My daughter goes to school every day for 2 hours, and they have been managing it really well. So I think we are all realizing that if we wear masks and do our part in it, we can control the spread pretty much. And we are really hopeful that there's going to be a vaccine in the very near future, and that will make universities open up even more. The other factor that is going to work really well for you is universities are right now hurting by not having international students. Our enrollment, we all care about having international student, and the enrollment is something that drives a university. Tyson and I have been in conversations with our enrollment management people right now, where we were overall looking at the growth aspect of the university, and everyone wants to grow and increase the number, and international students play a significant role in it because you do bring a lot of value to the classroom and the entire university system. Also, I wouldn't say just come to United States for the sake of coming to United States. I always, whenever I talk to students, I talk about how our education system is different. I did my bachelor's and my master's in India. I came to United States for my PhD, and that's when I realized how different the education system was, how wonderful it was for me to really develop critical thinking, for me to really think outside the box in my own major, and to experience that college life that I had not done in India, where we all usually just do exams, right? We have an exam in December, then we have an exam again in May or June. I don't know in Pune what time you guys have exams, but we would just do exams and study. Here it's really hands-on learning, and it gives you much more than education when you come to a US university to study. And that's my major thing that I'm so passionate about talking to international students and motivating them to come here, is because it really gives you much more. Yes, you won't have, the food that your mom cooks at home. You won't have the comfort of home where your mom is doing your laundry and all those things, but you need to grow up in life and experience life and the different education system that opens you up completely. And that's why I think, no matter how many barriers you think there are, you should really pursue higher education here in the States. Tyson, would you like to take over?
I'll second it. I haven't been in university in India, so I don't know exactly what it's like. But one thing I see always is when students come to the United States, come to our program for their master's, they assure me that education is very different in the United States. I look at transcripts from a lot of students coming from India, and it seems you've got about sometimes 10 subjects in a single semester. You might come here and have 3 subjects, and you'll spend a whole lot more time on those subjects, much more in depth, and as Seema said, much more about problem solving. I think you'll find this not just in our program, not just in computer science, but in most American universities. The key is to teach problem solving, creative problem solving. I know there's a tremendous amount of memorization in India, and I know our students that come from India are really good about memorizing things. But when you get down to it, that's not what industry needs. Industry doesn't want someone who can memorize stuff. They also don't want someone who can look stuff up on Google. Industry wants people who can solve problems. And that's why, that's what I think you get in general from an American degree. And it's something you need to pay attention to as you pick your university. We definitely have universities that are much more theoretical, more like mathematical, especially in computer science. There are a lot of computer science departments where you actually never create software. You spend a lot of time solving complicated problems. It's still solving problems, but they're more mathematical in nature. Other programs like ours are much more applied, more what we say hands-on, where in computer science, you're actually building software. In mechanical engineering, you might be building physical devices. You might be building machines. So when you look for a university, try to look where they are on that spectrum. Places like Stanford tend to be much more theoretical. Places like Chico State, like state universities, tend to be much more hands-on. But that's a question to ask when you're picking a university, is what kind of program is it? Is it a program that's purely academic, like maybe at Stanford they have these incredible academic notions of how to be a good academician and researcher. And then at state schools, there might be this notion of learn the skills that industry wants. And that's what we focus on. We focus on skills that industry want. It's very important for us that our students get jobs, get good jobs in the United States, if that's what their goal is, and have a good career. I look at it very much like the practical side is we want to teach people skills that will allow them to succeed in industry. I also want to take a moment to talk about sort of the overall picture. We know that our administration's changing, and we know that's going to help our international students. We know that that just the pressure of having someone like Donald Trump lead a country makes it a very unappealing place for many people to come to. Our new president is much more relaxed. You're not going to see him in the news hardly ever, I hope, where Donald Trump was in the news every single day. But also, so we know that the visa side is going to be easier. We don't know about the economy. I'm hopeful that in 2 years, you start, if you were to start here in fall or start at an American university in fall, graduate in about 2 years, I'm very hopeful the economy will recover. The software industry seems to be doing very well already. A lot of the richest people in the world have become even richer because their companies are doing so well in the pandemic lifespan. But I have to be honest, we don't know where the economy is going to go. You know, you can read the news about COVID-19 and the vaccines, and India has some of the world's best vaccine production. And so I think I imagine it would be quite easy for anyone coming to the United States to get a vaccine before you came here. And hopefully our university system will be vaccinated enough by the end of the summer that everything is in person. We all hate being online, and we really don't want to be online. We're committed to being online through the spring. It's hard on the students, it's hard on the teachers, and we're all just hoping as much as we can that we'll be in person for the fall. But there is risk. We don't know where the economy is going to go. And that's a risk you have to understand wherever you go, whether you come to Chico or another university. It is a risk taking what the economy is going to do. So that's kind of what I wanted to say. It is absolutely true that having an advanced degree helps. I don't know if you are primarily graduate students or undergraduates. It's easier for someone with a master's to get an HB or to get a job with a company that will sponsor their visa than it is for undergrads. Undergrads definitely can get jobs and get their visas sponsored by a company, but it's harder. I see some really good undergrads with good GPAs that struggle. I don't seem to see too many master's students struggle. And I think it's because the quotas are a little more favorable to the master's students. So I won't tell you that every one of our students gets a job and a visa. And if you talk to some other university and they tell you that's the case, they're probably exaggerating. You have to know there is some risk involved. There's risk of what the economy is going to do. There's risk of what the pandemic's going to do. And there's risk of how well you do. It used to be years ago when I got a degree that if you had a degree, you could go to a company and say, look, I have a degree, give me a job. And that doesn't happen anymore. What happens is you get a degree and you find a company and you say, look, I have a degree. And they say, okay, we're going to give you an interview. And interviews in computer science, especially, are very technical. It used to be, 40 years ago, they just wanted to know if they like you. But now they want to know if you're technically competent. So you have to be careful to appreciate that getting a degree isn't just about having the degree. Having the degree will get you an interview, but it won't get you a job. You need to make sure wherever you go that you learn along the way so that when you go out for that job interview, you have the knowledge and the problem-solving skills. Remember, that's the number one thing that companies are after, the problem-solving skills to convince them you can help them, because that's what companies want to do. They want to hire people that can help them do whatever they do, whether it be build software or consult with other companies running themselves. So that's something you need to know right from the beginning as you come into a master's program. Is your goal is not just to get through. Your goal is to learn the material as best you can, so when you get in that job interview, you know answers to what they have to say.
And not memorize what your classes are teaching you, because we are really that's a skill we all have practiced for, I think, 15 years in India in the school system, and then in our bachelor's, that we memorize really well. So when you come to United States into a degree program, learn how to problem solve rather than memorizing the material that is being presented to you. And I just want to emphasize on one point that Tyson was mentioning, the difference between state school and some of these big names where it's more theory based. So when you come to Chico State, let's say, you know, we are both from there, so we bring it more because we have experience in it. We get our students job ready. I think we take pride in, industry gives us that feedback all the time. When they hire or interview our students are ready to just hit the ground running from day one. Our computer science, our mechanical engineering, our mechatronics engineering students, I always get that feedback that our students don't need additional training when they are entering a company. And I think that's really important when you go through a program, for that program to get you job ready.
So we're here to talk about American education in general, but since we're here, we're going to talk a little bit about our university and in particular my department, computer science. And a bit of this I already said. Our sort of vision is to prepare students for careers. And we're hands-on, as I said. We want them to do the things in their classes that they'll need to do in industry. I often have managers, usually undergrads, because we have a whole lot more undergrads. We have about 500 undergrads and we have about 20 graduate students. So the majority of my experiences with undergrads, but I've had managers come and tell me, you know, we hired your kid, your student, we hired a student from Berkeley. They sat next to each other, and you know who got more done? The Chico student. Part of that is because the Chico students are very hands-on and they know how to do things. The other part is our students graduate a little bit nervous. They're sitting next to someone from a world-class university. They know they have to work hard, where that student from the world-class university thinks they're from a world-class university and often doesn't work very hard. Another story, last year we had a student get an internship with this company, OSI Soft, and he's the first one they hired from our program. And they also hired a kid from Berkeley. And the manager actually told him, you know, we're only going to have one position, so chances are it's really going to be the Berkeley kid. We're not going to hire you. And that kid worked as hard as he could all summer. And by the end of the summer, they had a permanent offer for him. This was a summer internship, and he started there last fall. So it does matter that you're in a department that focuses, whether it's our department or another department, you're in a department that focuses on preparing you for that job interview and for those actual jobs. Once you get a job in the United States and have some work experience, no one cares where you went to school. So someone a couple years out of Berkeley versus someone a couple years out of Cal State, no one's even going to ask where you went to school. They want to know what you've done. And they're going to ask you really hard interview questions. So students can have great careers coming from a smaller school, like Chico State. So one thing we do that turns a lot of students off is we want to make sure all our students have a really strong programming background. And we have some graduate level foundation courses that we make all students take. They're not part of the master's, so they're extra classes you have to take. In particular, one gigantic programming class that all students who come from a university that's not accredited by the ABET accreditation agency have to take our 6-unit programming course. And this is almost like a full-time job, this course. And before students take it, they're like, I already know how to program. I don't want to take that course. I don't need to take that course. And then once they're in that course, they're like, I didn't know how to program at all. This is really hard. And when they're done, of course, they all have to pay for it. It means a whole extra semester coming to Chico. You spend that one semester doing this prerequisite class and then 3 semesters doing the program. But doing that one semester, they have to pay. It's expensive. It's a whole nother semester. At the end of the semester, I ask them, oh, do you wish we hadn't done this? Saved yourself some money. Would it be better if we didn't do this? And everyone says, no, it's important. It's good. And you ask our alumni, and they say the same thing. The things they learned in the foundation course are really important. So,
And Tyson, I would say the same. I spoke to all those Indian kids just because I'm the advisor for all the Indian students on campus at Chico State. So I was very curious about their feedback too. And I said, do you really think, this course is helpful? Do you need this course? Maybe, I can advocate for if it's not needed, if you feel like, you come with those skills. And each one of them said, no, we had to work so hard that first semester, and if we took anything else we wouldn't be able to do well. So they were able to focus on that 6-unit course, and it kicked them really, and it helped them so much. But each one of them said it's very important for them to be in that class.
and so that's a situation you might face here and at other universities, that you're asked to do some extra courses, some prerequisite courses. And of course, someone coming from our master's is set up that someone from just about any discipline can come into our program. It just means you're going to take more courses once you're in the program. But that's something to pay attention to at other universities. There's another California state school that has a gigantic program in software engineering. And I don't believe that the students graduating from it have a very strong technical background. So when you're thinking about a school, it's important to find some graduate students, even alumni, who will talk to you about what they learned. And if they say, oh, the program's really easy, don't worry about it, it's all easy, nothing's hard, that's not the program you want to be in. You want to be in a program that's going to push you hard, because these couple years of working hard are what's going to set you on the path to a great career. And we do have students, I think it's on the next slide, we have students that go into many big companies, but I'll get back to that in a minute. Education in the United States is much more friendly than education in India. And once again, this is what I've learned through students I've had from India for a couple decades now. In India, it seems like there's a very big separation between here's the professor up here and here's the student. And sometimes when I walk down on the hall, all the Indian students stop talking and they stand up straight. And that drives me crazy. And they call me sir, and that drives me a little crazy too. And I try to teach them to call me by my first name. And I teach them that they shouldn't stop talking because I'm walking down the hall, because it's much more collegial, it's much more friendly. And our department in particular is small. We've got a dozen faculty, and students call them by their first name, the undergraduates, the graduates, for most of the faculty, not all of them. And the goal is to be on this friendly platform, this friendly protocol, this friendly way of interacting. And the way I see it is that once you finish your degree, wherever you go, once you finish your degree, you're going to go into American industry. And you want to know how to act like people act in American industry, which is to be friendly and outgoing and to speak your mind, to be able to ask questions. You can ask questions during an exam, or not, I'm sorry, during a class. You can go to a professor's office and ask questions. That's not true at every department. So that's something you should look into when you're picking a school, is how much interaction will I have with the faculty? Will I be able to go and sit in my professor's office and ask questions? Now, we can't do that during the pandemic, but in normal times, absolutely. I wouldn't go to a school that wasn't like that. And so that's something that you should pay attention to when you look for a school. The other thing you need to be careful of, not quite so much with graduate classes, but some universities have grad students teach a lot of classes, and that's something else you need to be clear on. Who's teaching your classes? So our way, we've kind of been doing the same thing for 20 years now. We have master's students from India. These are all companies that students from India, after getting a master's with us, have worked for. We don't have a lot of students going to Amazon or Apple, their first job. First jobs tend to be with smaller companies, but after they get a few years experience, our students are moving on to some of these top companies. And there are a lot of top companies listed here. And it's really hard for me to give you a number. I can't tell you. I should be able to. I feel bad that I can't. I can't tell you what percentage of our students get jobs. And the problem is the ones who don't get jobs just kind of disappear. They don't come and tell me, oh, I tried to get a job and I didn't. The ones who do get jobs tell us where they went, and we hear about them as they go through their career. We have a weekly seminar, and last week we had a master's alumni who graduated 7 years ago, and he is the founding engineer at a startup company. And that's pretty cool. This is a guy who took that first class from me and was a little annoyed that he had to take this class. But by the end of the class, he learned, he agreed that he had learned so much from it, and it was valuable. So you need to pay attention. I can't say that you should demand what percentage of students are getting jobs, but they should be able to tell you where their students are going. And I, quite frankly, should be better at telling you where exactly our students are going. But here's a snapshot of companies, and every department that you go to, and it's more department than university, because what you care about is people getting that degree. Where have those students gone? And it tells you that the best students, and these are probably our best students, the students at Amazon, I know of one at Apple, there's several at Amazon. These weren't like weak students. These weren't ones that barely graduated. These are strong students. And so just like getting that job, to get that job, to get the interview, you can just have a good GPA, but to get the job and to get new jobs and to have a strong career, you've got to be good at it. And that's not just getting a degree, but really learning and doing well in subsequent companies. It's the students that go out and do a really good job that kind of walk up the ladder and maybe go from a smaller company to a medium-sized company to one of the top ones, to the Apple, Amazon, Google. And so education doesn't stop when you get the degree, or doesn't stop when you get that first job.
And Tyson was talking about risk, and I completely agree with him in terms of economy, in terms of, Biden will be our president soon. So we are all really hopeful. None of us have a magic wand or a ball that we can look into and predict future. However, in anything that we do, I came to United States, I think 16 years ago now. When I was first coming here, I was very nervous too. I had many questions. I was taking a risk. However, in everything that we do in life, we do take a risk. So, you really have to weigh your cost and your benefit every time we are crossing a road. In India, I think that's a huge risk you are taking. You are really putting your life in danger every time. So we as Indians are really good risk takers. So, just give it some thought. I think what I would say is there is more hope. If you were asking me this year ago when the pandemic just started, if I was talking to you then, I would say, wait, let this pandemic be over. Don't just come here and be in online classes. I would not have advocated for it. But now I think we are able to see that it's more hopeful. Our new president is pro-immigration. Hopefully, all these, as Tyson said, all these EOs that Trump had issued, they can be changed by the new president with no problem at all. And that's what he would be doing and focusing on, trying to really eliminate the damage that has been caused. So I see a question here in our chat about the F1 visa duration. It used to be 5 years and now it's 4. What is expected? Is it expected to change in Biden's presidency? I would say yes. I'm hopeful that it would be, that at least they will go back to where they were before any kind of law is passed. But we really don't know how much time it will take. If you're coming for a master's degree, I think a 4-year duration is not hurting you in any way. You are able to complete your education, you can start your education, and most probably all of you are coming here in fall 21. Some of you may be wanting to come here in spring 21. And I see that a question that you're not able to book visa appointment. And I think Mr. Oak might be able to talk about it more. He knows the reality on the ground there in terms of what's going on with these visa appointments and whether you could get one or not.
Okay, questions? Okay. So should we start question answer session now? Those who have questions, they can raise hands and then we'll request you to unmute and ask your question. Pranav Kulkarni.
Hello.
Yes.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So my question is to both Seema and Henry. The question pertains to the availability of seats for the coming fall semester. So coming from Indian background, we are often feared about whether our seats will be, whether there will be limited seats or not. And since due to the recent pandemic, a lot of students might have deferred their admission to the next fall or maybe next summer. So does that mean there will be limited seats for the new applicants?
I think it's a good assumption that students did defer until next fall. We're a small program. Our target is to bring in 20 graduate students per year. So we don't know, right? We can't guess, but I do believe that a lot of students who wanted to come here in fall of 20, this past fall, will be waiting till next year. So I suspect it will be more competitive. I don't know how long it will be competitive for. Of course, there's still, a fair amount of anti-American sentiments going around because of the damage our President Trump has done. So that might dissuade people from United States schools, but we just don't know. It probably will be more competitive.
Tyson, did we defer admissions for fall? I don't.
No. We weren't
No.
allowed
So
to defer admissions. We deferred admissions till spring. So we've got a handful of students starting online in the spring, which it's too bad that they have to start online, but they're in the pipeline. And then we had several students who told us they were going to reapply for fall. So I know that we've got those students reapplying and then all the new students coming along. So I do believe it will be more competitive.
So Pranav, we don't have students holding spots yet. So you could apply, and as Tyson said, if we, it all depends on the number of applications each university is getting. So the competition might be a little more because there might be more students. But for us at Chico, we are not holding any seats.
Thank you.
And the other thing I'll say is that we tend to admit people in sort of rounds. So we'll take the first group of students and we'll admit the best ones. And we won't reject the rest, but we'll kind of let them slide as time goes on. So I think there's an advantage to applying early. And that would be my advice, is to apply early as soon as you're ready, so that you're sort of at the top of the stack rather than the people who apply at the very last minute. Because by the time the deadline comes along, I've filled most of the seats. So I do highly recommend applying sooner than later.
Will you give any preference to, Tyson?
Yes?
Would you like to give any preference to students who already had admission to CSU Chico but could not come because of COVID, and again they are reapplying for fall 21?
I'll definitely take that into account. And that's basically what I've told the students who have applied, that I understand that they were admitted for last year and I hope to admit them this year, and I tell them to apply early. But I can't make the promise that I will admit the students who were all admitted last year.
Okay, fine. I understood. Any other person? Any questions? No questions. Others join.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sir, my question is that students come to Spring 21 at your university or in any other university. Will there be a hybrid of online and classroom lectures, or will it be purely online? if students come
Everything,
to your university?
well, first of all, we don't, except for the students who deferred from last fall, we don't have a spring admission for our master's program. The California state system is primarily online, and that's driven from the very top. Every university is going to be different, but I suspect most will be online. Now, the problem is if all your classes are online, it might be very difficult to get that visa. And once you're actually entering the country, once you get to the airport to go there, they might say no, because you have all online classes. So that's a guess in immigration and how the immigration lawyers are going to handle that, or the immigration department's going to handle that. But I suspect most will be online.
For spring, for
For
fall
spring, yeah.
21, we are hoping that we at least will have hybrid. I would like to be back to my office and start
Yeah.
back full swing.
Well,
We all would.
We hope that they're all in person. Our goal is to be completely in person for fall of 21, and we're planning it that way. We're planning that to happen. But of course, this pandemic is very hard to predict. And certainly our country is not doing a very good job of it right now. So things may get bad, and at which point this year we were allowed to defer people till spring, and I hope we'd be able to do the same thing next fall if we weren't in person.
Okay. One interruption. Some students were asking about appointments at US Consulate Mumbai. Unfortunately, they are opening very few slots. I don't know, because of some administrative problems, because see, there are very few Americans who work there, and most of the administrative staff is from Mumbai. And because of the transport problem, I'm not very sure whether they are getting administrative staff every day. Therefore, the process has slowed down. But if you are applying within 60 days of the starting date mentioned on the I-20, then you can take emergency appointment, and which is easier to get, and you can apply for visa. In the regular visa process, yes, people are facing problems because the slots are very limited. They have to keep trying for the whole day, and somehow they get the slot. But again, I'm repeating, if you are joining, if you apply within 60 days of the joining date printed on the I-20, you can apply for emergency date and you can get that appointment. Okay, Yogini.
Hello. I have two questions actually. To give you a background, I have done my BTech from production, and I have 10 years of experience in software industry. I was working as senior associate in JP Morgan for 4 years. So my question is, after doing my master's, would I get a job at similar level, or I have to start at junior level in the industry?
I think in a sense you'd start at a junior level. You'd start at what's considered a new graduate position. But levels change quickly in the United States. It doesn't take 10 years to go from a junior level to a senior level. In fact, amazingly, graduates can be senior after just a few years. So I don't think the level is as defining of things like salary as it might be in India. There are jobs where, you know, our new grads start at $100,000 a year, and there are jobs where our new grads start at $60,000 a year. And if you're making $100,000 a year, what does it matter if you're a junior or a senior? If you do a good job, it won't be long till you're senior anyways. But typically, I would expect that you'd be going towards what are considered new graduate positions. However, having work experience on your resume is a big deal. Companies like to see that you have work experience, even if it's not exactly in what you're getting a job for. It shows that, you know, some company hired you and they didn't fire you after a month or somewhat. So I think having that experience will certainly help you get that job, but you'll probably start at a sort of a new graduate level.
And companies value skill in this country. If you have the skills, even if it may help you get a job easier because you have work experience, but once they see your skill and you're able to prove to them, probably the promotion or you getting to another level would be easier. So it's all about demonstrating skills. As Tyson and I were mentioning in our talk earlier, it's all about, your capability of problem solving and able to prove to them that you are an asset to that company.
Okay, thank you very much. Vaibhav?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. You're
Yes,
little low.
yes, sir. My question is, due to this COVID-19, we are not able to give our GRE exams and TOEFL. So, what procedure should we follow? Means, is there any alternative by through which we can start our procedure for the admission? Because due to COVID-19, we are not able to get the admission with the GRE slots.
My
And
understanding is you could take the GRE at home now.
yeah, but it is but the rules and regulations for the home edition are something very difficult. Means it is not comfortable for every student to take. So, and many of the universities are also giving the GRE waiver due to this COVID-19. So, is Chico State has also provided something like this?
So we're not giving a GRE waiver at this point.
Actually, I want to give GRE my soon is most probably in the next month, in the December first week. But I'm not able to get the slots. I have previously booked 2 times the GRE slots, but unfortunately due to COVID-19, they have to postpone and cancel the GRE exam slots. So I'm not able to complete my procedure because I'm stuck in between due to this GRE
Vaibhav,
stuff.
let me interrupt now. See, this question you can ask to our office. You are getting slots, and I don't think Mr. Tyson can waive GRE for computer science department. In fact, we have found out that in most of the universities, particularly for computer science department, GRE is not waived. They are waiving GRE for other departments, but the waiver is not given for computer science. I'm sure it must be the same case with your university.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
We are
thanks.
not waiting GRE.
Mute karo.
That's one way for us to really look at a student and kind of see where they fall. So it's an important marker for us right now to look at those scores.
Exactly.
And what you have to understand from our perspective is the worst situation is for us to admit somebody who comes to Chico and spends a great deal of money and time working on a degree which they can't finish. And then they have to go home with potentially great debt. And that's like the worst case situation, that you spend money and you can't do the classes. And the GRE is a pretty valuable tool in figuring out how well or predicting how well someone will do in the program. That's why we're not waiving it.
Okay, I think not appearing for GRE and applying to American university is definitely not advisable. You have to give GRE and then apply, because that is a very important factor which they consider for selection. Okay, next is Devika.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
So as we were speaking just a few minutes ago, how work experience helps in getting a job in the US. However, I was planning to go right after my graduation in 2020, but instead, because of the COVID situation, I had to join my job that I had gotten through the campus, and I'm working with Honeywell. However, I'll be just a month or two shy of completing a year in Honeywell when I go for fall 2021. So does this reflect negatively on my CV? Or does it show less integrity for having worked for so less time before I opt for further education, or does that have no implications?
I don't think it's a problem if you work up right till your degree. If you were to stop in January of 2021 and then start school in August of 21, that would look suspicious. Like, why was there a gap? And that's what a lot of industry focuses on, is not how long you were somewhere, but the gaps. And clearly leaving a job to go to a master's program is very acceptable. So I wouldn't worry about that at all.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Santosh.
Hello.
Yes.
So my question is, what is the scope for MS in computer science if you are graduating from streams like electrical or mechanical?
I don't put our target GRE is 300. And what's important is primarily the quantitative. So I really like to see a quantitative of 155 or higher. Now, this can change if somebody has a strong GPA. If someone comes from a strong university, then a lower GPA would be acceptable. Someone with a weaker marks, I might expect a higher GPA. But I don't consider what program you're coming from. But that does extend how long it'll take to do the degree. If you come with very little computer science experience or in coursework, it's going to add probably a semester to the program. So instead of being average of 4 semesters, it would be 5 semesters for someone coming from a different field. And you'll be pretty busy those first 2 semesters, and they won't even count towards the master's. But it's a way, because we admit you before you take your prerequisites, it allows you to take them all here as a graduate student and take them in. You're going to take these undergraduate classes in an American university, which will give you a kind of an edge on the graduate classes. The students who have to take more prerequisites in our program tend to be the ones that do even better in the graduate classes. So I'm not gonna penalize someone for coming from another field, because that's how we design this program. We want to be able to attract people from other fields.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ria. Ria.
Hello.
Huh?
Could you elaborate something on the non-STEM OPTs, especially after this post-election period?
It's usually a year. So Mr. Oak may be able to speak more as he works with students. Usually when you come to other fields other than STEM, you are given a year of OPT that allows you to stay in the United States and do an internship that allows you to earn money, or allows you to have a stipend as you're working for a company. We usually work with engineering students or students who are coming for bachelor's in information systems or master's in enterprise information systems, and they are all STEM related. So we usually do not work a lot with students from non-STEM fields. However, you could, I came to United States as a social work major. But my case was different because I was coming here for my PhD. I really didn't have to, I was getting a very advanced degree and I could go into a university system right away. So I didn't worry about an OPT as much, but you will get a year to work after you do any field of study like psychology, social work, varied fields.
Yes. So 1 year OPT gives you only one chance to apply for H1B visa. So if you are picked in the lottery, then you can work in America as long as you want, but otherwise you have to come back to India. So non-STEM degrees always have that risk of getting H1B after completing the graduation. Soham Petkar.
Hello.
Huh?
So I would like to ask the panelists about what they have to offer for the undergraduate mechanical engineering course.
We have a wonderful, Soham, if I was right now in your shoes, and if I were to go to college right now, I would have chosen mechanical or mechatronics engineering. That's the field that excites me the most right now. And, you know, being in the engineering college now and working with my colleagues, we have a wonderful mechanical engineering program, really strong, very hands-on learning. Our students do this wonderful capstone project in their last year, and they get in the groups of 3 or 4 students, and actually companies sponsor for them to make something and they produce. Every semester we do these really big expos in our college. One of my favorites that I saw last year, they made a 3D concrete printer. So they were able to make a 10-foot by 10-foot 3D printer that will print tiny homes, concrete tiny homes. So students really build it from scratch and they learn all that and get those skills. We recently got over $1 million to build a state-of-the-art facility, a lab for our mechanical mechatronics students. Omron, you might have seen Omron all over India. The BP machines, lot of medical devices are made by Omron. So we have a really nice lab for our mechanical engineering students to do. We are actually also, we used to have a sustainable manufacturing program too, and we are converting it into an advanced manufacturing and applied robotics. So they are all part of this this one big department. Mechanical engineering is in it, mechatronics engineering is in it, and advanced manufacturing and applied robotics. So you'll learn from professors who are very passionate and have lots of industry experience and actually bring industry sponsorship within the department, and students get to work with them.
Okay, thank you. Pranav Kulkarni.
Hi. Hi again. My question is similar to what Devika asked a little while ago. To give you a background about myself, I worked with Siemens for 2 years from 2017 to 2019, after which I left the company to prepare for my GMATs and to start my master's in 2020 itself. But due to the global pandemic, it was not possible. So will this bring a negative aspect in my CV or maybe during my applications, or how do you look at this? I mean, this gap because of global pandemic.
I think anytime there's a gap on your resume, you can explain it, such as a world pandemic that everybody knows about, it's not going to be a problem. So I did talk about gaps on resumes as being worrisome, but if you have a reason that you have a gap, such as you were preparing for the exams to go to graduate school, I think you'll be fine. People understand that. And besides, the real key is that you will be a new graduate in a advanced degree program, and that's what employers are going to look at most. So I wouldn't worry about that gap. You have some solid work experience with an international company on your resume, and that's what's important. Don't spend your time worrying about that gap.
Thank you. Vishal. Hello. Vishal.
Hi, Vishal.
Hello. Yeah, my question is, in case of deferment of the admission, does the OPT visa duration gets increased?
Huh? No, we couldn't understand the question.
If the visa is available for 5 years, but the admission is deferred and the joining is deferred by say 1 year, then does the visa duration get increased?
Yes. Visa can be automatically extended if your OPT period is not used within visa period. So that's a very common thing and it is very easy.
And okay, Vishal, what you're saying is if you didn't go to a US university and you are planning on going next year, the university can issue you a new I-22, right? That would help you kind of look at that different time frame.
If it's the same university, the university can extend when you arrive if they have a competent person.
Yeah, but if the visa duration was only say up to 2024, and can it get increased to by the amount I have been deferred for joining?
Yes, it is possible.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Snehal.
Hello.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Everybody asks the same question.
Actually, I have one question. So I have done my BTech in mechanical engineering and master's in mechatronics engineering. And my half of the 5 years experience in mechanical engineering with design and some ERP related stuff, and the remaining 5 year is in data scientist and data analyst kind of role. So do I need to go for PhD in artificial intelligence, or can I get admission for the master's in computer science related course. So which one would you advise, sir? Am I good to go for this course? Means how it goes?
Yes, you definitely could apply to our program. And, I talk about our program, but I can't talk for all computer science master's programs. Some programs might want you to have more solid coursework before you are admitted to the programs. But with our program, it's no problem. As far as getting a PhD, there's some real advantages to getting a PhD. One is they're usually funded. PhD institutions often pay you all your fees, and they often give you a stipend, but they're more competitive to get into. And it also depends on where you want to go. If you want to get a job in American industry in data science or computer science or software, then a master's is probably the right direction to go. If you want to get a job teaching at a university, then a PhD is the right way to go. So it depends on where you're going to go and how strong your academic record is. It is much harder to get into PhD programs than it is to get into master's programs.
And also, if you do want to do a PhD, there is no cap on how many H1Bs for the higher education. So I never had to worry about getting in the lottery system for H1B, because for universities, there is no cap on H1Bs. And it's really a smooth immigration process that way.
Because you get green card under H1B category. I'm sorry, EB1 category, which doesn't have any cap. All PhD holders are under EB1 category, and all the masters or bachelors, they either go into EB2 category or EB3 category, where there is a cap of 65,000 general quota and 20,000 additional quota for master's degree. So therefore, doing PhD is safe route for green card.
Yes.
Rucha.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, sir. Sir, would you please shed some light on the MIS program at CSU?
For undergrad or graduate?
For graduation.
We have enterprise information systems, Tyson.
Right. You probably know more about it than I do.
It is a STEM-based degree. It's offered through our College of Business. We partner with them quite a bit. Tyson has a bachelor's in information systems that students do. CINS.
Okay.
So we have a master's in enterprise information systems, and that's run through our College of Business, and it's heavily on data analytics and big data and data science. That's what they kind of focus on. I have had a lot of Indian students go through that program who are working for different companies. I know one kid is working for Salesforce right now. So it is a STEM field. We'll be happy to, in one of our seminars, bring somebody from the College of Business to really talk about that program more and get Mr. Oak some more information on that. But it is, it's a 2-year degree program.
Okay. Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. Vedang.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Could you please brief in short about the civil and construction industry and its current status? What is there in the entire United States?
Wow, that's a really interesting question, Vedang. I don't know why you're asking that question. I would like to know why.
Because I personally want to pursue my post-graduation in 2022. But for that, I want to prepare myself from now itself. Like, what is going to be the future aspects that I should be looking up to?
What are you doing right now? What are you studying?
Currently, I'm pursuing my civil engineering in third year.
Okay, so you're doing your undergrad in, you know, a lot of the degree programs that we have here in the United States, and especially in our college, our undergraduate students do really well with an undergraduate degree. So we have a construction management undergraduate degree. We have a civil engineering undergraduate degree. Right now, we don't offer any masters in those areas. However, when you ask about the industry, I think that's one industry that is booming a lot right now. Construction is just the COVID has no impact on the construction world. It's actually going in full force. So in a couple of years, I would say it still will be booming. I don't see it coming down anytime soon.
But we don't know. Construction is a field that very much follows the economy, and there are some very nerve-wracking aspects to our economy. Unemployment is exceptionally high right now in the United States. So I'm not as bullish as Seema is on construction in a few years. And it is a field right now where the construction management students are all getting jobs. And so they like to gloat that their students are all employed. So it is really doing well now, but the kinds of projects that construction management students, graduates work on are large projects. And those projects takes years and take many years to plan, and the funding is sort of already in the pipeline. So I believe that it will go well for a while, but we can't be certain what the economy is going to do in a couple of years. The economy could suffer, and construction will be one of those areas that suffers more.
Okay, the last two questions.
All right. Thank you.
Others? Hello, others? Okay. Now last question, Vedang. It's already done. Okay, fine. So others, are you? Okay, it's gone now.
There was another student who just
Santosh Thapar. Santosh. Last question is Santosh.
Yeah, my question is, how you see MS computer science as compared to other STEM fields after 5 to 10 years?
Well, I think they can't predict what will happen after 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
It's difficult to answer this question. Anyway, thank you.
Are you asking to compare computer science to other fields?
I think just the future of computer science in the next 5-10 years, Tyson. I will predict that future to be very well too.
I think the future is going to be strong. I have two daughters, and they're both computer science majors. One graduated last year and one's graduating this year. So I'm hoping it's strong, and there's no indication that it's not going to be strong. There's still a lot of demand out there. Big companies have thousands of unopened positions. As we move to autonomous automobiles and many other autonomous robots and other tasks, I think there's just going to be more and more need for software. So I'm pretty positive on the future in 5 to 10 years.
It's interesting that you do say that about computer science, but not about construction management and civil.
Well, if we look at the last 20 years, construction management's been going like this and computer science been going like that. So
I'm just messing with you. And that's what really happens when you are working in America or in an industry or in a setup. Your colleagues really, you have this open dialogue where you can challenge each other, have conversations, have different perspectives, disagree. We often say, I respectfully disagree with somebody's perspective, and it's okay to do that. In the Indian education system or in India, we tend to not do that, but it's very common here for us to do.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering all the questions and giving us an excellent lecture and insight on what is going to happen in next 4 years. And in fact, I know that it's quite late for you. In fact, thanks for accepting our request to talk to us at night. It's 9:30 at night, California time. And we will be in touch with you all the time because you have been talking to our students for the last 4 years almost. And I know this COVID problem will get over soon. And from fall 2021, we'll come back to the normal force. So let's hope that you will find, Americans will find rather some vaccine, and then the thing will come under control. So thank you very much. And all the students, there is a request that if we could not give an opportunity to answer your questions now, you can send us an email and we'll answer those questions. But next Sunday, I am coming for question answer session. It will be an open forum at 11 o'clock. So all the students who are attending this webinar can ask me questions and I'll answer those questions. That will be purely question answer session. You can ask me regarding GRE, test dates, when to take, how to apply, when to apply, visa problems, everything, all your questions will be resolved. Okay, so thank you all the students for attending the webinar. And once again, I thank Tyson and Seema for spending time with us. And I'm sure we'll meet soon in next few weeks. Thank you very much.
And thank you all for listening. I hope I've been helpful and you're all successful in starting your graduate careers or your education in the United States.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Good
Thank
night.
you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.